In the markets this week, a special report on an important commodity that affects our everyday lives, wheat. It's a crop that's been important for a long time, has quite a history, and is used in many, many goods. But what is it that makes wheat such a fascinating plant?
It's one of the most recognizable crops in the world, commonly seen as waves of golden color across vast open fields. Wheat. A staple food for thousands of years and used in many products. But what exactly is this special plant? What exactly is wheat? According to Encyclopedia Britannica, wheat is one of the oldest and most important of the cereal crops. Of the many varieties known, the most important are common wheat used to make bread, durum wheat, used in making pasta, and club wheat, a softer type, also used for baking flours. As a plant, wheat is a type of grass, just like corn, and like its cousin, it's cultivated to produce grains, also known as kernels, that are then eaten. However, unlike corn, the grain is mostly consumed by people, with only a small percentage going towards animal feed or other uses. There are 6 main types of wheat grown commercially across the world: soft red winter, hard red spring, hard white, soft white, and durum. As the name implies, winter wheats are planted around October to January and are harvested around May to August, while spring wheat is planted around March and April and harvested around July to September. Like other plants, wheat has several growth stages agronomists use to identify its life cycle. Emergence, when the main stem rises from the seed; tillering, when secondary stems form; stem extension, when the plant begins to grow upwards; booting and head development, when the grain heads form; flowering and grain filling, when the wheat begins to pollinate; and ripening and maturation, when the grain becomes what we know as wheat kernels. The wheat plant contains both male and female reproductive parts, which means it's able to pollinate itself. However, it does much better in groups. Not to mention, having more than one plant means more grain to harvest. Winter wheat does something interesting in its growing seasons. During the coldest months, it goes into a type of dormancy. That is, it grows much more slowly to compensate for the harsh climate. But once spring approaches, it bounces back. Even more interesting is that winter wheat varieties require freezing temperatures to activate their reproductive cycle. In other words, without the freeze, they can't make grain. In the U.S., hard red and soft red winter wheat produce more bushels per year than their spring counterparts. Like most crops, there are challenges producers face, including weather, disease, and insects. The greatest challenges tend to happen when the plant is young and most at risk to insect predation and weeds hogging the soil's nutrients. The greatest ongoing threat, however, is the weather, as drought can greatly hurt the growing and grain production of the plant. On a global scale, wheat is about 20% of the world's daily protein. The largest exporters are Russia, the U.S., Canada, France, and Ukraine. The largest importers are typically Egypt, Indonesia, Turkey, and the Philippines. China also produces a large quantity of wheat per year. In America, wheat is measured in bushels. Globally, it's measured in tons. Roughly 1 bushel of wheat weighs about 60 pounds, contains about 1 million kernels, and can produce about 42 pounds of white flour. Although foodstuffs are the main use of wheat, it has other uses as well. The straw and the chaff, which is the discarded husk surrounding the kernel, can be used to make bioplastics, paper, particle board, and industrial absorbents. The kernels can be used to create ethanol, a biofuel. The middling, a byproduct of flour milling, is used as animal feed. So, what are the greatest driving factors concerning wheat prices? Well, there's emerging markets due to population increases that makes the demand for wheat higher. There's the weather, which can determine the international supply. Subsidies, specifically for ethanol, which is made mostly from corn, affect the amount of wheat acres grown and therefore the supply. The value of the dollar and governmental actions such as import duties and taxes, which affect the buying price. Overall, wheat is a fascinating plant with a long history of feeding the human race. We've cultivated it for thousands of years. and use it every day for staple food products. It's been a valuable and dependable commodity, and there's no sign of that slowing down anytime soon.